Hi, everybody. I had a client email me yesterday, and she specifically asked me to make a video on trauma bonding. So I'm very open right now to taking requests for videos, and especially at this time of year when money is tight, but people are needing support, I am here for that. So I was like, of course. Trauma bonding is, I'm going to explain to you first what trauma bonding is, and then we'll talk through exactly what to do if you think you're in a situation that fits the bill. Now, what I'd like you to do also is to go back if you feel that you're in a situation that qualifies as trauma bonding. Go back and watch my other videos on abusive relationships because it's all pertinent, it's all relevant, okay? It's all basically the same thing with just different language to describe it. So trauma bonding is the process by which you enter into a relationship through, what is happening? You enter into an abusive relationship, an abuse dynamic in your relationship. And the concept of trauma bonding is that someone who is in the relationship with you, the abuser, is speaking to you via your trauma. They're speaking to you in a place that feels familiar because of trauma either in your past, either in previous relationships, or in your upbringing. And so you have somewhere in your life learned that abuse and love are the same thing because someone who was supposed to love you abused you. And so what you've learned is love looks like abuse looks like love. The two are paired, the two go hand in hand. First of all, I want to offer you something. I want you to know that you can reprogram this. I want you to know that just because you were taught this when you were growing up, or just because someone taught you this at an early age during a formative relationship, I want you to know that just because of those things, that doesn't mean that you are forever going to be stuck in an abusive relationship and that you are forever going to mistake abuse for love. Being in this relationship is a little bit addictive. It is like a drug, okay? So I'll step you through that. I'll walk you through that part of it. But once you're out, if you can focus on your self-work, and if you can focus on surrounding yourself with and getting into healthy relationships, and by that I mean friendships, family relationships, and romantic relationships, and just like acquaintanceships that are healthy dynamics, if you can still hold the focus for yourself once you're out of the abusive relationship on only surrounding yourself with what's actually positive, what's actually supportive, what's actually uplifting, you are able to reprogram your mind, and you do not have to be forced to stay in this kind of cycle. So many people in abusive relationships will say to me, well, that's what I've always known, or that's what it's always been, so this is just what it is for me. And I just want to say, nothing changes until something changes, okay? And that something is you. Please go watch my video on how to break cycles, okay? That something is you. And if you're here, if you're watching this, if you're at all interested in saving yourself from an abusive scenario, if you've come to the realization that this isn't what you want your life to be, that's step one. That's the hardest step. You already did the hardest thing. You just have to continue to take conscious and focused action on your own behalf. You have to reach out for support. You have to surround yourself with support. You must be gentle with yourself. That means a lot of time abused people don't know how to be gentle with themselves. That means if you make a mistake, go easy on yourself. You are wounded. You can't see your wounds, but that doesn't mean they're not there. You are wounded. When I used to get hurt when I was little, my mother would say, poor wounded soldier, and she would kiss me better. You are a poor wounded soldier. Kiss yourself better. Hold yourself and calm yourself and be kind to yourself. Okay, so trauma bonding. It's when someone attaches you to them through the bonds of feeling like you're being abused, because that triggers something in you. okay? It triggers something in you. The woman who emailed me asking me to talk about this said there's 3 stages that she had learned about. There's many different ways to assess this scenario. There's many different ways to assess what an abuse dynamic looks like, but we will talk about the 3 stages that she asked me to touch on. One of them is, I forget the word that she used specifically, but it's like love bombing, basically. It's like the phase in which you are like showered with love, you're brought into the relationship, it seems like it's going to be so good, okay? The phase in which you are told, this is everything, this is real love, this is so special, like whatever. And you're made to feel the highs and you're made to feel like everything's good. This is like the first hit of heroin. I cannot stress enough how much abusive relationships are addictions. Okay, please hear this. An addiction works on what capacity? It works on a high and a promise of a return of the high. But the problem with addiction, as we all know, is you don't ever get that return of the high. This is why gambling works. I saw an interesting post today too, actually, that someone said this is why dieting is addictive too. Because you get these tiny little bursts of success when you lose weight, and then you have these other moments where you just hate yourself if you're not doing it right. The highs and the lows are addictive. If you find yourself like in this push and pull, it's because perhaps part of you is terrified of just living a regular life. Sit with that, okay? Sit with like, what would you do with yourself if you didn't have to ride these waves all the time? Do the waves cause you immense stress and anxiety and pain? Yeah. But do they also give you these bursts of adrenaline? I mean, you're even getting a burst of adrenaline when you're crying yourself to sleep. You're even like really in that moment when you're crying yourself to sleep, because at least you're really feeling something. So you've got to get real honest with yourself if you're addicted to these highs and lows. And it's not your fault if you are, but you must see it and you must be aware of it. So here's one portion of it. They love bomb you. They really like throw at you how wonderful things could be. They make you feel this great way when you're with them or when things are good, and then they disenfranchise you with trauma bonding, with narcissism, with whatever abusive relationship dynamics. It starts off slow usually. You don't realize it. They act like they're doing you a favor. Oh, you don't look right in that outfit. Or maybe you should XYZ. But what they're really doing is picking away at your self-esteem. They're really like dismantling you. They have something negative to say about whatever you do. They have something hurtful to say about however you show up. They make little remarks about the things you do and how the things you do aren't good enough, even though it's what they asked you to do. They make you feel like you are somehow damaged or broken. Because you have been brought up in an abusive relationship in your past, because you mistake abuse for love, you are already primed and receptive to hear the feedback that something's wrong with you. You mistake their feedback for honesty because it's where your mind is at, because you don't know that you are worth something. So you think, oh, they're just telling me the truth. Part of you goes, they must love me because they're telling me the truth. This is not what love is. This is not what love is. Somebody can love you. They can be honest with you about your flaws, but they can do that in a way that is productive, kind, and supportive. They do not have to do it in a way where they are seeking to dismantle you, where they provide only the information about how you are damaged, broken, wrong, or flawed, and they do not provide you with any support or helpful feedback, encouragement, or any innovation or any willingness to work through it with you. If someone's being abusive to you, it means that they are telling you what's wrong with you, and that's it. They are not seeking to support you in any way. They are also not seeking to take responsibility for their portion of things that are wrong as well. They are not seeking to say, here's what I perceive your situation to be, here's what mine is. Let's work together to solve these problems. That is a mature relationship founded on growth. If they are working together with you, if they are in therapy with you and they are showing up to do the work, if they are checking in with you, if they are gently saying to you, the thing happened again, you hurt my feelings again, but maybe I wasn't clear about XYZ. If they are gently pointing out your flaws to you and they're working with you to improve them, okay, we can get on board with that. If they are dismantling you, throwing in your face, insulting you, making you feel less than, making you feel like you're never good enough, making you feel like the rug gets pulled out from you, if they're setting the bar up here and you can never reach it, if they set the standard and you reach it and then they change it after the fact and make you feel freaking crazy, this is abuse. This is not a healthy relationship. They know that you seek the high of their approval. And when they sense that you are straying, they will hit you with a hit of it, just like a drug. They will also, when they sense that you are straying sometimes, hit you with the low and make you feel like the worst person ever. They do this part because they think if they take away all of your self-worth, that you will not go anywhere because they've convinced you that there's nowhere for you to go. Trauma bonding feeds off of this innate static feeling you have in your chest that tells you that you're not enough, you'll never be enough, that you've never been enough, and that you never can be enough. And it feeds on that and feeds on that, and it reaffirms and reaffirms. And it says, you know what? You're right. The question for you is, do you want to keep believing that? Do you want to stay with a person who will definitely make you feel that way? Because there are people who will not agree that you're nothing. And over time, they will help you to see your own worth. You are not required to believe that you are this like amazing, wonderful person to leave these relationships. You are just required to think maybe it's possible. You are just required to have some hope. To have some hope that maybe you don't always have to feel this way every single day of your life. I was at an AA meeting once, and a woman there said, she goes, there's that saying that if you don't love yourself, no one else can love you. And she said, I just want to say that that's bullshit. She said, looking around this room, I want to thank every person here who's been with me on my journey, because if it wasn't for all of you loving me, I never would have known I was worth loving myself. Who you are surrounded by matters in this world. And if you're in a relationship that's constantly making you feel up and down, anxiety, not good enough no matter what you do, you are in an abusive dynamic and you need help, love, and support. Okay? So the first thing that she brought up was the love bombing. The next thing is the disenfranchising. That's the knocking you down a peg. That's the setting impossible standards. That's the always telling you what's wrong with you and never showing up with what's wrong with them. That's the pretending to do self-work or relationship work and not doing it. It's the never being satisfied. It's the being unhappy for no reason and not communicating with you. If there is no communication, there is no chance for resolution. I can't tell you guys enough how much authentic communication matters, okay? And then the last thing is the discard. Discard is a classic term used for narcissism, but It came up for my client in this trauma bonding situation. The discard happens when the abuser has decided they've wrung you out, you are no longer interesting to them, and they get rid of you. The world gets really cold for you when that happens. If you haven't already chosen to be done with them, but they choose to be done with you, you are suddenly forced through withdrawal, drug withdrawal. So just picture any movie in which you've seen a heroin addict going through withdrawal. That is what you, the victim, will experience. Because you can only remember these highs. You're now left feeling like this longing for this person because they gave you your sense of worth. Which is why it's so hard for people to leave these relationships. I always tell my clients, it takes 72 hours of no contact for you to start to see the light again that you will be okay. No contact, seriously, means no contact. People think I'm overreacting with this. You must get yourself away from the person. You must block them. You must remove their contact information. If you choose to leave an abuser before they've discarded you, you must do these things. Get yourself away from them. Don't be places where you know they're going to go. It's only for 72 hours. Do not answer their calls, their voicemails, their texts, their messages, whatever it is. Do not engage with them. You block their number. You block their email. You block them on Facebook. You block them wherever. You literally leave for a little bit. Because you have to go no contact in order to see. You can't see reality when you're in this. You're on this drug. Okay? After you do that, you have a chance of staying away and of getting yourself to safety, emotional safety. But if they discard you first, you will be forced through withdrawal. And it will be painful and hard because you have been getting all your feedback about who you are as a person from this other person. And it doesn't matter that it's been negative because at this point you're choosing negative attention rather than no attention. You have already signed this contract with this relationship that you will take negative attention from this person rather than none. You just are so desperate for their attention that you just want their feedback because sometimes once in a blue moon it's nice, it's good. So you hang in there and hang on waiting for it. I have to tell you, this isn't a way to live. You don't have to live like this. It does not have to be this way. But these are the 3 stages that my client brought up. And she said, please speak to this. And I just want to say, yes, this is a real thing that you're going through. No, you're not crazy. You're not crazy. If you're unhappy, leave. That's the only thing that you need to know is that it's okay to leave for any reason. If you've been trying and trying and trying and it's not getting better, it's not going to get better. If you're stuck in a cycle, you know what you have to do. Something has to change. That's not to say that you have to leave permanently, but you do need to leave and get safe and get healthy with yourself. Seek out some support. Surround yourself with people who see what you can't see in yourself. Because we are all making up what reality is anyway. We're all just inventing the world as we see it. So choose to surround yourself with people who have invented a world in which you are worthy of love and kindness and connection to other people. Where everything you do isn't just wrong all the time. And seek help for yourself into understanding what is this trauma that lives in me that is so drawn to a person who will reinforce that negative feedback over and over and over again. And how can I heal it? It can be healed. I promise you that. This will go in little steps until it's a big step. And the big step's always going to be, I'm done, I'm leaving, it's over, goodbye. And you can get through that. I promise you that. If anybody needs resources, send me a message, find me on Facebook, reach out to me. I have an abundance of resources, and I am accepting clients, and I do work with people getting out of abusive relationships. And if you don't want to work with me, I have so many other people that you can work with that I can refer you to. Good luck.